Dear students, you are welcome to my online teaching classes. I'm Shishpal Chauhan and today I'm going to explain the question Wordsworth as a poet of nature. You will listen to my audio only and I'll explain this question in detail. You may make notes of my discussion, whatever I discuss here. If you have any doubt, you may write your query in the comment box. Let me begin. William Wordsworth, a poet of nature. Okay, let me begin now. William Wordsworth was the senior most among the five great romantic poets of England. We know him as a great worshipper of nature. He expressed his great love for nature in his poems. He loved nature not merely for its sensuous beauty. He found deep meaning in every aspect of nature. He felt breathing reality and law and impulse in it. Nature was like a kind mother as well as a strict nurse to him. It's also important to mention here that Wordsworth's love for nature underwent a gradual change. There are three stages in the development of his love for nature. And let me add something more in the beginning. Before Wordsworth, many poets wrote about nature, but they wrote in a casual manner. They wrote about the external aspects of nature. None of them had seen a soul in nature and learnt from it the lessons of morality and wisdom. Wordsworth represents nature as a mystical force capable of enlightening and ennobling the human soul and mind. His contemporaries like Byron, Shelley, and Keats, and also his successors like Tennyson, have also written about nature, but Wordsworth differs from all other poets. William Wordsworth was born in the Lake district of England. He was admitted to John's College, Cambridge in 1787. For a few years, he was seized by a sense of pessimism, a feeling of deep depression and uncertainty, from which he was ultimately saved by the company of his sister Dorothy and his friend S.T. Coleridge. His renewed contact with nature also. His friendship with Coleridge marked a momentous phase of his life and work. Together, the poets published the famous lyrical ballads in 1798, which marked the beginning of the Romantic movement in England, or in English poetry, you may call it. Okay, let me add something. You may mold this subject matter according to your requirement. Okay, in the first stage, Wordsworth's love for nature was like that of a boy who watches beautiful objects of nature just for delight. The beautiful sounds and sights had great attraction for the poet in the beginning. In the Tintern Abbey, he refers to the glad animal moments of his childhood days. In the prelude, he says that in the early stage, nature was but secondary to my pursuits and animal activities and all their trivial pleasures. In the second stage, nature became everything to him. His love for a sounding cataract was a passion. It always haunted him. He felt a deep love for the tall rocks, mountains, and jungles. Nature was his beloved. During this period of his life, he loved only the sensuous beauty of nature. He had no philosophy and nature in that stage. He loved nature's sounds and sights and cared only for its external beauty, which he saw with eyes and heard with ears. When he saw human sufferings in France in the wake of French Revolution, all his joys and dizzy raptures came to an end. His eyes were opened and he began to realize the dignity of common man. He linked his love of nature with his love for man, the still sad music of humanity. In the third stage, his attitude to nature undergoes a deep change. Now he loved nature not for its external beauty. His sixth sense got developed and he could see beneath the external beauty of nature. He became aware of the inner life of every form of nature. He started feeling a moving spirit in nature. He felt that every object of nature had some divine element in it. In the running water of the brook, he heard the still sad music of humanity. The water of the brook gave him the idea of the tears and troubles of humanity. The poet loves the woods, the mountains, and the fields because they are the visible shape of God. Nature never betrays a human heart. She is the guide and guardian of moral being. Those who love nature and live in its lap or closeness get her great blessings. They forget about their sorrows and tensions. Nature has a great healing influence in it. Unfortunately, man has broken this link with nature. That is the main reason for his sorrows. Wordsworth believed that nature had a holy plan to make every creature happy. Such are the truths or facts which Wordsworth came to believe about nature in the last phase of his love for nature. Wordsworth describes in Nothing the circumstances under which Tintern Abbey his attitude had changed. In collecting hazelnuts, he had done a merciless ravage. At the same time, he felt a guilty conscience for the ravage done by him. It was because he had started feeling that there is a spirit in the woods. The poet also advises his sister Dorothy to put herself under the eye of nature. He assures his sister that love for nature is the only cure for all worries and troubles of life. Thus, the poem Tintern Abbey is one of the poet's great masterpieces. It tells us about the great love for nature, and also we come to know how his love for nature had grown into spiritual form. The poem is also full of nice phrases like nature never did betray the heart that loved her, the still sad music of humanity, aching joys and dizzy raptures, the fever of the world, etc. The music of the poem is also noteworthy. The poem has used blank verse. Okay, this is about Tintern Abbey. You can add many examples from Tintern Abbey in shaping William Wordsworth's love for nature, and thus the evaluation of the various stages in Wordsworth's growth as a poet of nature proves him to be a very great priest of nature. It was everything for him. It was the religion, God, and all. He had great faith in the power of nature, but there are critics and even readers who speak about his limitations as a poet of nature. For example, W.H. Hudson explains how he finds a never failing principle in nature. The poet is fully aware of the beauties and joys it gives to human heart that loves it. The critics say that Wordsworth is blind to the sorrows and sufferings which are also a part of nature. Mr. Aldous Huxley says that the poet had never gone out of the Lake District, so he never had the chance of coming across nature, red in tooth and claw. The poet has depicted the peaceful aspect of nature. He has never touched the awful energies of storm, the roars of angry sea, etc. But in spite of the above criticism, we can say that he did what he found appropriate to him. The storms and tides are also parts of nature, but these are the expression of some disturbance in the system of nature. The general temperament of nature is not stormy and riotous. That's why Wordsworth presents placid mood of nature in his poems. He highlights in his poetry the basic truth that every object of nature has a divine spark in it. He has a great faith in the soothing effect of it. Nature is a benign mother, guardian, and nurse to him. In the concluding lines of Tintern Abbey, he writes, Nature never did betray the heart that loved her. Thus, William Wordsworth was undoubtedly a high priest of nature. Okay, dear students, this is about William Wordsworth as a poet of nature. And in the next stream, I would describe Wordsworth as a poet of man. All right. This is because I have very less time for you to write notes and type them and show you all about the questions and answers and then discuss in video form. I thought it very appropriate that I should discuss the questions I have about English literature so that you may listen to and get some ideas about the poet. This will be very beneficial for you, and this is my hope. Let me end up the stream. You will get this in video form also.